How did Thursday Night Football go today?
Went good for the defense. We worked on skill building with the offense, which I think will definitely pay dividends in the future. It certainly has in the past.
Is there anyone on either side of the ball? I know it's only been two that you guys have done so far. Is anyone standing out right now?
It kind of varies. The consistency is, I think, the biggest thing. I think defensively in general, at least today, I thought we ran to the ball pretty good to the extent that we gave them an opportunity to run to the ball. But yeah, so it's just part of the process. We'll do it again next week if we don't get it sorted this week. Usually there's a couple weeks in between, but we're certainly prepared to do it again.
Were you surprised that Gordo out of high school didn't get more offers? I know he was a little bit more scrawny and kind of short, and maybe wasn't the prototypical quarterback, but just the way he can throw the ball. Are you surprised he didn't get more offers and had to go the JC route?
A little bit. They felt like he was undersized was the biggest thing. He was productive. I don't know. I'm not familiar with a ton of his high school film. I am his junior college.
What was the first thing that popped when you turned on his JC film?
Throws it quick. He's kind of a take charge guy. Throws it quick, moves his feet well.
Do you think he's more confident than he may come off? He's kind of quiet and kind of has the California lax vibe. I know he comes from kind of a surfing town a little bit, but do you think people don't know how competitive he actually is out there, and he actually does talk quite a bit on the field?
He's always been confident. He's always been confident. He's more vocal now, but he's always been confident.
Speaking of surfing, I talked to Yogi Roth the other day, and he said you guys are planning a tentative surfing trip, or have been talking about it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
When did you learn how to surf?
Well, Yogi does it all the time. I used to, when I'd go recruiting when I was an assistant, I'd go with Mark McElroy, who's the head coach at Saddleback Community College, and teaches two surfing classes. So he always had all the gear, so I could fly in and I could surf a little bit. And then plus I had adult supervision, somebody watching me, because if you don't do it much as lining up, I mean, in spotting things, you develop kind of an eye for it. And so the first day I'd go out and I'd get beat up. The second day I'd get sore, but my timing would be better. The third day I'd do pretty well. And the fourth day I'd go home. So that's about how that thing went. And it was a cycle for a couple of years. Matter of fact, I ought to call Mark and Yogi again.
What's the most challenging part about surfing that people may not know until they actually do it?
How strenuous it is. I mean, it looks comfortable. The visuals comfortable. Somebody laying on a board. It's not particularly comfortable. Your pelvic bone is, you'll feel that for a week. And then I think the other thing is that, it's really fairly strenuous paddling out there because you're not in as good a position as it appears, because your back's constantly arched, that type of thing. And then the other thing, there's a sense of timing, and guys get really good at it. They can see a speck out there, and they know that that's the wave to line up to, and so then they can start ahead of time. There's guys out there that can surf, and they don't even get particularly wet, because they time it up, and then they catch it, and then they take it into a point, and then bail off and paddle back out and do the same thing. And like especially on a cold day, you'll see some really good ones out there, and they don't have their wetsuit on, but they're just good enough to get up, reel it in, and do it again without really going underwater.
Where's the best place to surf, or your favorite place that you've been surfing, I guess?
For me, it is a place where I can work on my skills that has kind of consistent waves. Hawaii's good, except the landing's tough because they have consistent waves in Hawaii, like in a bay or something like Haleiwa or out there in Lahaina, in the bay. The landing's tough because the coral comes up like daggers, so you got to kind of belly flop off of there and hope you don't sink too far. In California, somewhere like Doheny, that's got kind of consistent 3-footers that you can kind of count on. That if I make a mistake on one, I can correct it on the next. St. Onofre's not bad. Kind of depends, though.
One of the assistant coaches at New Mexico State is Chase Holbrook, who worked for you for a year. I believe he was offensive quality control. Can you talk about how he landed here and how you found out about Chase and his time here, what he did for you guys?
Well, Chase was Hal Mummy's quarterback, and then he did a really good job, and of course ran the air raid there. So he's a knowledgeable guy. He's a smart guy, and kind of used to being in charge. But I thought he has a really good set of eyes and good young coach who I think's really going to have a good career before it's all over.
Are you surprised that he was able to kind of get a position coach this quickly, or did you seem this was about the kind of the right timeline for him to snap up a QB coach job?
Well, the thing is he's kind of a legacy there at New Mexico State. I believe he's the all-time leading passer there, so that certainly didn't hurt. But it was good to see him able to elevate this early in his career, and he's at his alma mater too. He and his wives.